Hey everyone, Alex with Omega Productions. We're going to do a quick, concise, very low production value gear video for our upcoming event, Desolation, taking place at Skirmish Paintball in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, October 26th through the 28th. This will be very generalized. What I'm actually going to do is take the gear pack list that can be found on our website, www.surviveomegaevents.com/rules. So obviously we have the abridged rule set on there, the full rule set, which we made some edits to after the beta event. And then we also have a slightly updated version of the gear checklist. So that's basically what I'm going to be using to do for this video walkthrough, just going through the items that we require you to have, some of the items that we recommend that you have. As you can see, I've made some notes on here for myself in terms of things that I don't want to pack, or maybe some additional things that I do want to pack. Again, end of October, southeastern Pennsylvania near Philadelphia. The weather can be, it could be in the 50s to 60s. It could be down in the 40s. Very possibly could be in the 30s. I doubt it, but we want to be prepared for any type of scenario. So I made some of those notes on here. Some other things just to mention before we get started. We're going to try to start putting these videos on YouTube. The big advantage there being that if you have a YouTube Red account, you can actually download these videos and watch them later. So if you're on a car trip or doing something where you won't have access to Wi-Fi, you can download the videos when you have access to Wi-Fi and then watch them later. So most of the videos that Frank and I do will probably be 30 minutes to 45 minutes doing videos like this, where we kind of talk about different gear, maybe rule changes, maybe gameplay mechanics, things like that. So you might want to think about downloading them. It's helpful for that. All right, so first thing on any airsoft list, ANSI rated eye protection. So where did I put that? Wow, this video is not off to a good start if I can't find my eye protection already. Oh, here we go. All right, so I always travel to events with multiple eye protection. I actually keep them in Crown Royal bags, which a lot of people find to be funny, but they're made of felt and they're great for keeping eye protection, I find. So I have two different types of eye protection, shooting glasses and then obviously full seal goggles. For Desolation, they are asking us for everyone to have full seal goggles. So if you are wearing shooting glasses, you need to have the Helo kit installed. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of shooting glasses with a Helo kit. They fog like crazy on me, so I won't be using these unless I have to. For Desolation, what I will be using are the Pyramex goggles that can be had for very cheap, or I should say very inexpensively, on Amazon for about 15 bucks. I think they're Pyramex Eye Force. If you just type in Pyramex, Pyramex goggles, you'll find them on Amazon. Do a great job. They retain your head. If you use a Dremel to actually make the holes a little bit larger, I don't know if you can see that, it actually allows for a little bit more airflow. So BBs aren't going to get in, but air will be able to, so you'll have less fogging issues. So very rarely do I fog in these. One thing to also consider is the clear lens versus something like shaded lens. Just because we're going to be underneath, we're going to be in a canopy for most of the time. So something to consider. I'll be going with the clear lens. All right, so that's the first item. Spend a little bit more time on that just because eye protection is very important. Next thing on the list, face protection. If you're 17 and under, you have to wear face protection. Otherwise, we don't require it. Simple things like face protection, a shemagh, very easy to use. Put it on your face, cover your nose, mouth. Very, very, very simple thing. Very, very, very inexpensive to buy on Amazon. Hat, cap. So you can go a couple different ways with this. I have obviously the cap that I wore to beta. It's just a I guess you'd call it a sun cap. I beat it up a little bit to go a little bit more of the theme, but it does a great job of protecting your ears and neck from sun, BBs, bugs, things like that. So I'll probably be wearing this for the majority of the time while at Desolation. So that's one example of a cap. Obviously, like I mentioned before, it could potentially get cold, so you're going to want something to maybe cover your ears. I recommend something that's either acrylic or wool. This is, I think, mostly wool. Yeah, 100% merino wool. So we'll be talking about that a lot throughout this video because of the potential of cold wool is obviously great because even when it gets wet, it can keep you warm. Unlike some materials like cotton, which will just suck the life out of you if you get them wet. So some options for hats. Obviously, if you're more into the role-playing side of things, you can do something like this. This is a coon cap that I may wear throughout the event, depending on my mood. So just something else, just to give you some ideas of what's possible. Shirts, pants, these are things that we actually require just because we're a little bit afraid of someone showing up in a sarong and, flip-flops and trying to do the event that way. More power to them if they can do that, but not something that we want to necessarily deal with if you end up with a giant stick in your foot or, God forbid, something else. So pants, a lot of different ways you can go, obviously. Most of the people, obviously, if you're coming to a mega event, you want to try to stick with a theme and have some type of worn down pants. So like you can see here, I beat the shit out of these. Bleach, some paint, dirt. I went after them with a shredder tool and tried to create some holes in them. Interestingly, these didn't tear that well because of the material they're made out of. So I guess that's good. But these are just straight up. These are Dockers that I bought from TJ Maxx for $16. So pretty good deal on that. Another option for pants, not quite as inexpensive as Dockers, but still a good option. Hey, Frank's on it. For everyone wondering, actually, Frank is on his way to American Milsim's ESR 19.5. So he's currently on a plane flying down to Dallas, and then he's going to be driving up to Oklahoma tomorrow, I assume. So no Frank for this video. Sorry for everyone that tuned in to see Frank, but don't worry, he'll be on plenty of other videos. Okay, so picking back up pants, 511 pants. They can be purchased on Amazon for around $45. I like these pants just because they're pretty durable and they come in a ton of different sizes. So I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'5". I typically wear like 34 plus inseam, and I can actually buy these in a 36 inseam length. So these are the only pair of pants I own that I actually have to cuff up because of their length. So another good thing about these, you can put knee pads inside of them. So if you're going to be on your knees a lot, crouching, doing whatever, good option to have in your back pocket. And then what I'll probably be wearing for the duration of Desolation, depending on the weather, if it's reasonable weather, I probably won't wear these, but these are Fjall Ravens. A little bit more expensive just because of the material they're made out of. They have wax in them actually to make them a little bit more water resistant. So if it's rainy and cold, I don't do too much role playing. Frank and I don't do too much role playing as admin, so I may throw a pair of these on just for the sake of my personal comfort. Similar to the 511s, they come in a multitude of different sizes. These are actually very long, which I like. They aren't flood pants on me. Reinforced knees, and you can actually put the knee pads in from the outside. So the 511s are nice because they have the knee pad pocket, but they're a pain in the ass because you have to put the knee pad. You have to turn the pants inside out, put the knee pads in, and then obviously turn the pants right side out again. These, they go in from the outside, so if you have to take them out for whatever reason, pop them back in, do whatever, you can change the knee pad with the pants on for the Fjall Ravens. But a little bit pricier, probably not practical for too many of our games, that are going to be happening in some of the warmer climates. But, an option nonetheless. In terms of shirts, choose your flavor. I just have a bunch of ratty t-shirts that I had from years of use. You can buy ones from Amazon for like $10 that come and they kind of already look faded. I mean, these are already, I don't know if you can see, they already look kind of beaten up. So they come that way. You can buy them that way. It's a good option to have for t-shirts. More for the warmer weather type of things. Socks, kind of going again with that wool theme. invest in a nice pair of high quality wool socks. These are Patagonia, 100% wool. Like I said before, when they get wet, they still keep you warm, unlike cotton socks. Definitely don't bring cotton socks to any one of our games, any airsoft game in general. I'd always recommend wearing some type of wool sock. All right, underwear. I wear Under Armour underwear. Don't wear cotton, obviously, sticking with that theme. Try to wear things that are going to wick the sweat away from your body and have it quickly evaporate, and things that are going to deal with microbes well, so they're not going to foster the growth of bacteria in your undercarriage, so to speak. For this event, I added on the list thermal tops and bottoms. This is the top I wear for warmer events. Which again, wicks away the sweat. Obviously, it doesn't have sleeves, so not going to be terribly useful if it's cold outside. Again, Under Armour. This is just polypro. Very warm, wicks sweat away, and lets it evaporate. The bad thing about sweat when it's cold is that it'll drop your body temperature very fast. So having something like this that'll pull the sweat away from your body and allow it to evaporate is very useful. All right, what else do we have on the On Your Person section if you're following along? Gloves. Gloves, obviously, when it's warmer out, are going to be more for protection. So if you want to wear something like mechanics gloves, that's your prerogative. At Beta, it was warm out. You're not shooting so much and getting into so many firefights where getting shot in the knuckle or the finger is terribly likely. So, maybe you want to pack these, but my recommendation would be, if you're bringing gloves for protection, you're probably just going to take them off because they're going to bother you. One of our mechanics is you have to load BBs into your magazines by hand. You can't use a speed loader. So that becomes very, very difficult when you're wearing gloves. In terms of warmth, though, obviously something like this made of wool, fingerless, so you can still load the BBs by hand. I think is going to come in useful at distillation if it gets down to some of those lower temperatures. I tend to get very cold hands, poor circulation in my hands, so I'll probably be wearing these for a good portion of the time, unless it's probably 50 degrees or above. All right, boots and shoes. All right, so I have a couple different options here. So, obviously, we want everyone to stick with the theme of the apocalypse. Resources are hard to find, but one recommendation that I have is that wear comfortable footwear. Don't go to the surplus store and buy beat up boots. They will look the part, but you will be miserable for the 48-hour duration of the event. So I have two options here. For more mount facilities, not as rocky, I have these Danners. Jungle boots. Don't really have too much of an aggressive tread, not crazy ankle support. I do have Dr. Scholl's Active Series in here, so they basically are like sneakers. So when the terrain isn't terribly difficult, a lot of concrete, flat surfaces, nothing that's going to slip on, this is what I'll wear, and they're very comfortable for a long period of time. For desolation, what I'll be wearing is these. These are the Solomon, I think they're like GTX 4. Very sturdy boot, tons of ankle support, very good tread. They are waterproof as well. Or I shouldn't say waterproof. They're water resistant. I sprayed them down with some kiwi. I think that's what it is. Make them a little bit more water resistant. But these are going to be good for the more rocky terrain at skirmish that we'll encounter. All right, so moving on to gear. This stuff is all very basic. Let's see, I have a belt somewhere here. Here we go. Belt, this is a proper belt. Literally on Amazon, you can buy these for a couple bucks. Nothing special to them. They'll keep your pants up. You can put pouches on them and things like that. So something to consider. And if you don't want to just use a regular leather belt, there's nothing wrong with that. I have holster on this list. Holster indicating that you'd probably put a pistol in there. I don't carry a pistol. I never have. I just don't really see too much of a use for it for the way I play, so I'm not going to bring a holster. Pouches. So pouches, obviously, you can go more the tactical route. I'm trying to do a little bit more of the role place thing, so I have some leather pouches that are small. They can hold maybe a couple bags of BBs, some bullet casings. You know, you can get creative with it. Like this is a sporran that normally you'd find on a kilt. You know, maybe I'll find a way to put this on my kit. It's cool. It's leather. It's got fur on it. You know, why not? Go with a coon hat. Let's see what else. Joint protection. If you want to wear knee pads, your prerogative. As long as they don't bother you. So I really like having knee pads, but I hate knee pads that actually strap onto my knee. So I buy these ones on Amazon. They're Jobman work knee pads. They actually fit in both the 511s and the Fjallravens. They just kind of tuck up and you stick them in there. So these are nice because they're not restrictive on your knee, but when you kneel down, there's something there, and they're pretty big. I mean, obviously, you know, they're bigger than my hand, so there's a lot of surface area here for you to hit when you're doing that. So that's joint protection. Then respirator. So these are actually necessary for one of our game mechanics. You need to have a respirator on your face if there's a yellow dust storm in your area. So if you're familiar with our backstory, basically an asteroid collided with Earth, wiped out 90% of Earth's remaining population after it had been embroiled in World War for close to 15 years. And then off that asteroid came this dust that essentially, when breathed in, kills you immediately. You asphyxiate and you die. So in order to protect yourself, you need to have one of these on your face in order to survive that. So basically, we're still trying to play with the rule. We're using Enola Gay cloud makers, which produce one hell of a smoke cloud for us. So typically what we're doing right now, the rule is if you can see the dust cloud, you need to have one of these on your face. Otherwise, you've asphyxiated and you died. So something to pick up. You can get one of these at Home Depot for maybe $20. For the time being, I believe we're also allowing people to wear shamogs over their nose and mouth. And that'll actually prevent them from asphyxiating on the yellow dust. But eventually we'll probably move to a model where you'll have to have one of these on your face in order to not die. All right, moving on, weapons. One interesting thing that I actually put into the rules, and I don't know if too many people have noticed, you don't have to bring a weapon with you to one of our events. If you want to play as a pacifist or play another way, maybe bring a rubber or foam melee weapon and only get kills that way. That's totally something you can do. So you don't have to bring a weapon if you don't want to. So what I'm going to do. Let's see if I get out of here. So I just built this gun. This is going to be my primary for Desolation. If and when I play, I doubt that Frank and I will have too much time to actually pull the trigger. But this is G&G ARP9 body. I actually installed the Redline N7 Milsim into it, Wraith CO2 stock, which is getting a little over around 120 shots per magazine, which is nice because I'm using these 16-round mid caps for it, so I get about two mags per CO2 cartridge. Obviously, got to bring a couple CO2 cartridges with me, but because it's the N7 Milsim, I don't have to worry about a battery, which is nice, or the elements. The mechanical does very well in poor weather conditions. So, like I said, I just put this together, finished it last night, still making some tweaks, but if I'm able to get some trigger time at Desolation, this is what I'll be using. And the reasoning behind that is that, at least my reasoning, it could totally be wrong, is that in the apocalypse, larger caliber ammo would have been harder to find because of what was ostensibly World War III going on. So there'd be a lot more things like small caliber, like 9mm rounds. So having a weapon like this that shoots those smaller rounds could be beneficial. So I guess that's my reasoning. It's different. It looks cool. Whatever. Everyone in airsoft needs to be a special snowflake. So we'll see how that works out. The trader needs, exactly. The trader needs protection. I'll just buy protection, Ralph. I'll just give people bullet casings. All right. So weapons, and then one thing important too about the weapons is the total capacity of your magazines cannot be greater than 300 BBs. So I have 4 60-round magazines. 4 times 60 is 240. I'm underneath that 300 threshold. If I had, let's say I carried a sidearm and 2 magazines, and both those magazines held 30 rounds each, 60 plus 240 is 300. That'd be the maximum amount of magazines I'd be allowed to carry. If I was running something like, if I was running one of my Redline M4s that use PTS EPMs, those hold about 150 rounds, so I'd be limited to only carrying 2 of those with me in the gameplay area. So something to think about. You know, I don't want to give away too many strategies, but I'll give you this little tidbit for those of you that are watching. If you have 4 of these, and we're giving out 6 different weights of BB ammunition, you can put different weights in different magazines and know what you're shooting, versus only having 2 magazines and only, you know, basically kind of ghetto loading your mags, as Frank likes to say, where you have mixed weight BBs and your BBs are going up, they're going down, maybe sometimes they're going straight. So something to consider when you're putting a loadout together for our events. All right, and then obviously if you're running an HPA type of weapon, you need to have some type of terminant regulator on the Wraith. The way you basically terminant lock it is putting tamper-proof tape on the top of the buffer tube, so you can't stick an Allen key down there to adjust the pressure, increase or decrease it. And then one thing that we addressed right before beta was the use of rubber and foam weapons for melee kills. So this is a tap weapon. You're not supposed to be jabbing or fucking slashing people with this. It's literally, hey, melee kill. I know it sounds kind of stupid and silly, but that's the way that we have to use these in a responsible manner, not ruin it for the people that like to use these things. So this is a rubber cold steel. You know, it's flexible, but if I jab this into you, like it'll hurt. It won't feel good. So be responsible with these. Don't be the person that ruins it for everyone by being a dick with a rubber weapon. As far as foam goes, if you have a foam LARP type weapon, you know, sword, axe, whatever, same rule applies, you know, out in the gameplay world, so to speak. So again, tap, you know, tickle them with the melee weapon. But if we have individuals that bring foam weapons for the actual like LARP style duels, we will allow them to I guess go 100% and do those as they would at a regular LARP event, as long as it's being observed by a staff member. So if you have the foam weapons that you typically use for LARP and you want to bring them to one of our events and challenge someone to a duel, they accept you can totally do that in one of the communities, as long as it's in a safe and secure situation. Otherwise, out in the gameplay area, you're trying to stealth kill someone, it's a tap. All right, so identification, picture ID, license, you know, everyone knows what that is. That's just in case, you know, you get incapacitated. We need to know, you know, if you're an organ donor. The reason for that is we have medical cards that everyone has to fill out. Name, allergies, any medical conditions. If you know your blood type, that's helpful. Emergency contact, their phone, your date of birth, stuff like this. And we require everyone to fill this out before they can do anything like chrono. You know, basically before you come see me to sign into the event, you got to fill one of these out. And keep it on your body, so in case something happens to you, we know what to do with you. That's one of the required pieces of gear, medical card. So it's just some accessories that you should have in your body. We require everyone to have a 22-channel radio on them. You don't have to keep it on throughout the event. If you want to, obviously it's very helpful for communicating with people that you may have an alliance with, or people within your community. Yes, find out your blood type. Yes, I'm O positive. All right, so getting back on topic here, there's lots of different ways you can go with a radio. I'm going to go from the most inexpensive to slightly more expensive. So the least expensive option is just the standard UV or Baofeng UV5R. This can be purchased on Amazon for around $20 to $25. You can set frequencies on here. Very easy to use, very user-friendly. And this will... You know, this is required. If you don't have some type of radio, you need to have one, because if you fall in a ditch, break your leg, and you can't move, you need to be able to pop this on to channel 22 or the frequency 462725 to get a hold of staff to tell them that your femur is sticking out of your skin and we need to come and collect you. All right, so $25, basic battery. It'll last probably 6 to 7 hours straight. Obviously, our events are up to 48 hours, so you might not be able to use this the entire time. Obviously, you can get an extra battery. Those are very inexpensive on Amazon, but there's option number one. If you want to spend a little bit more money, you can get the UV 5R Plus, which just basically makes it from a 5-watt radio to an 8-watt radio, so you can blast through a little bit better. And this has the extended battery, so this battery will last much longer time. Again, you can probably pick up an extra extended battery for maybe $10-12 on Amazon, so definitely something to think about. And if you want to go really hardcore, you can get what is this called? The Baofeng UV82. I want to say UV82. Final answer. So what this is essentially very similar to the 5R, except it's a dual channel radio, so you can transmit and receive on 2 different channels without having to hit any other buttons other than the transmit button. So it's nice. So if you, for example, want to have a channel with your close buddies, like the 3 or 4 of you are running around doing sneaky stuff, you want to have your own channel, you can keep that on A. And then if your community decides that they want to have a channel to keep in communication with everyone, you can go down on B, and then you'll be able to hear transmissions on both sides. So most of the admins, we use these because we typically have to monitor multiple channels. So it's helpful to have something that you can basically monitor and you can receive and transmit on 2 channels without having to do too much back and forth. So this is a little bit more expensive. This is in the $60 range, but if you're going to be playing our events, you're going to be playing a lot of other, larger airsoft events, Milsim like AMS, Milsim West, although I don't know, they actually might restrict radios because people don't know how to use them that well. But, something to think about making the investment. Next thing, speaker mic. Definitely not required. I like to use one just because it's easy to put on your shoulder and just speak into. This one I think is $15. If you want to really get a real quality speaker mic, it's going to last you a long time. Get a Code Red headset speaker mic. A little bit pricier, that $60 range, but long term, it's gonna pay dividends because you're not going to have to replace it every couple months. But really, all you need, going back to the radio discussion, all you need is this, right? And you can tie a string to this, hang it around your neck, and then you can hear people, you can talk to people. Very simple. You don't have to go crazy with the radio. Again, our big mantra is do more with less, and if this is all you need, this is really all you need. Everything else is just an add-on. So, $25 gets you in the door with the radio. Okay. GPS compass, helpful if you get lost in the bigger AOs. I don't have one with me, but something to consider. It's very small, very easy to pack away. Wristwatch goes on your wrist. This is just a standard G-Shock. You can beat it up. It's waterproof. It's gonna do pretty well out in the elements. Obviously, this is important for telling the time. You need to know the time because we have established safe zone times in communities from sunset until 8 a.m. So sunset will vary depending on the time of year and location. For Desolation, sunset's around 6 o'clock p.m. So 6 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock a.m., the communities are going to be a cold zone, which means mags out, weapons cleared, no shooting out of the community area. And then when we deem those communities cold, we allow participants to remove their eye protection, hang around the fire, because no one's going to be coming into that area. It's essentially unattackable until 8 a.m. the next day. So rather than making everyone wear eye protection for 48 hours straight, this is our way of allowing a little bit of a reprieve from wearing goggles on your eye for 48 hours. Let's see. Flashlight, headlamp. These are actually required items for the night. A lot of different ways you can go here. Obviously, standard flashlight, throw some D batteries in. A little bit heavy, a little bit clunky, but it definitely gets the job done, and you can get these for dollars. Go to a dollar store and get a flashlight. It's super easy to do. If you want to spend a little bit more money, you can get something like this. This is a cap brim-mounted flashlight. I use this a lot, actually. It goes very nicely on my hat, which is now buried under a bunch of stuff, but it clips on the brim of your hat. Turn it on, turn it off, lets you see where you're going. Or if you want, you can, and this kind of blends into the next thing, the the Red Dead lamp. So this is a flashlight, obviously, at night when you're walking around, but you can hold it down, and it's also a red light, which is helpful if you're just looking at, kind of standing around the campfire. You don't want to blind people with UV light. You can use the red light, infrared light, or if you're dead, you're out in the gameplay area at night, you get shot, you want to signify that you're dead. It allows you to put this red light on, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 combo, which is nice. So this is very highly rated Petzl Tika headlamp. I think this is on Amazon for maybe $25-50. If you do a lot of outdoor stuff, these are great to have. I keep one of these in my car just in case something happens in the middle of the night. I'm driving, need to fix something. These are incredibly useful to have, so something worth thinking about. So we cover the dead light. Obviously, anytime you go play airsoft, you should have a Red Dead rag. I mean, these are bandanas. I mean, you can buy these for cents, right? You can buy a pack of them for like $1. So, I have like 5 of these in every airsoft gear bag I own. So very, very good thing to have. Has to be on your person, so when you get shot, you can put it on your head, signify that you're dead. Obviously, if you're standing in the middle of the woods and it's hard to see you and no one can see that there's a Red Dead rag on, you're going to continue to get shot. No one likes that. So make sure you have a Red Dead rag on your person. Next item, notepad and pen. This is a Right in the Rain notepad. This is very useful to have because obviously when it rains out, the ink in the pencil doesn't run on you. And then just a standard pen. These are good to have as we continue to grow storylines, increase the number of people, and make things a little bit more intertwined. You're going to want to take notes on kind of the happenings in the gameplay area. So this is something that's helpful to have as we start bringing in more NPCs. They might be giving out some clues as to where certain things are. Maybe some mission items, some quest givers, if you will, if you want to put it in the video game context. So just a simple notepad and pen, have it in some type of pocket on your pants. Good thing to have. Again, these are very everyone has a pen. Right in the Rain notebook, I think you can buy it for a couple bucks on Amazon. So nothing so far is really breaking the bank. All right, and that's really all we have on the pack on your person list. Obviously, you can bring your mobile phone with you. That's just an added safety feature. At beta, it was also an added comfort feature. Everyone spent all day, playing in the gameplay area, taking pictures of different loadouts, kids' costumes, whatever you want to call them, and people just wanted to post shit to Facebook. At the end of the day, you've been playing, you're tired, you just want to kick back in your tent. Give your buddy a call, give your girlfriend, fiance, wife, significant other a call. We're not gonna tell you can't bring a mobile phone into the gameplay area. So if you want it, obviously there's a lot of inherent risk of bringing a mobile device in with you to a place where it can get wet and get shot, but to each their own. All right, moving on. Assault pack. So we actually had a question come into the Facebook group. Do I have to carry a assault pack? Absolutely not. If you do not want to carry a backpack with you at all times, you don't have to. We're not going to make you carry things that you don't think you need in the gameplay area. So definitely don't have to have an assault pack, but it's something that a lot of people chose to use during beta. It's something that I walked around with. Obviously, I fulfill a slightly different role as an admin, but a lot of the same functionality of someone who's a full-time participant. So a couple different options here. This is the largest. This is an LBX bag. And I know it's very heavy. It looks like a very heavy military bag, but I actually wear this to work every day. So someone tells me that it's not realistic to a post-apocalyptic scenario. If the apocalypse happens while I'm at work, I'm going to have this bag with me. So it's obviously, it's a little bit bigger than probably most people would like to carry, but remember, as an admin trader, kind of fulfilling multiple roles, I have to carry a lot of in-game resources on me to populate the gameplay area with, and obviously trade with participants. If they have bullet casings and they want to purchase things like BBs, medical bandages, other supplies, I need to have a lot of those on me, so I'm not going back and forth to our command post to grab more of them to introduce them into the gameplay area. So this one's a little bit bigger, and I'd probably have a pouch on here for a water bottle, maybe an extra pouch up here for some other stuff. Yeah, Rob wears a big honking backpack, or I should say Mr. Quill wears a big honking backpack. And then obviously this is what I wore for beta, and it was lost it. Okay, we're back A little bit smaller, doesn't hold quite as much, but obviously much lighter, much smaller profile, and much lighter as there's much less moly and cordura here. So you can see the size difference there. But again, to each their own. I have a couple. I have like a shoulder mounted like laptop backpack that I beat the hell out of. I think I got it for like $15 on Amazon, so I really wasn't too worried about destroying it, and I destroyed it. The one thing I would caution with about those one strap shoulder backs that everyone likes to wear because of playing the division, if you are someone like me who crouches a lot and goes prone a lot, they are going to get in your way a lot. So you got to find some way of securing the bag kind of along your solar plexus here to make sure it's not going back and forth on you, because that's a problem I had when I was trying out kits for Omega. Was that I wanted to wear the one strap, but it wasn't as nice as having the two strap. Maybe that makes me a nerd, but I really liked having the two strap. I don't think I'll be going back to one strap. So something to consider. I mean, again, different strokes for different folks, but you know, something to think about when you're putting together your loadouts for these games. All right, so those are the assault pack. Things you might want to have extra in the assault pack: extra eye protection. Again, going back to the eye protection I keep in these Crown Royal bags. It's always helpful to have spare lenses, an extra set. Maybe someone like loses theirs, it falls off, it breaks, whatever. It's always good just to have extra. It takes up such little space. It's so light, and it's such a big safety thing. Like, why not just carry an extra set? I mean, you can get the Pyramex goggles on Amazon for $15. I mean, that's stupid cheap for something that's extremely effective. So, you know, very good idea to have the extra eye protection on you. Other things on there, just spare clothing, things that we already talked about. Shirts, wool socks. One thing that you'll definitely want to have on you is a rain jacket or type of poncho, right? So this is just a standard issue poncho, came in a bag. I don't think I've opened it yet. Yeah, I haven't even opened it yet. It's still fresh in there. So literally just throw it in your assault pack. It occupies very little space. You can fold it in half, stick it in there. If it starts downpouring, obviously you can whip this out. One thing I didn't address with the clothing, obviously, different things that you can carry around on you. Obviously, if it's warmer out, like at Beta, you can wear things like this. It's a standard, you know, surplus. I think this is French Army. I want to call it. We'll go with French Army, and then you can just. I mean, these are dirt cheap. You can beat the hell out of them, and because they're Army surplus, you can really go at them like hard, and they're gonna wear very well. And I think that you kind of get this cool effect. So I wore this at Beta, and this will probably be what I wear most of the time, so long as the elements aren't being a complete dick. Otherwise, what I'll probably be wearing for Omega if the weather gets really shitty, something like this. This is like an outdoor smock from Ridgeline. This is a UK company. This is very waterproof, very breathable. You know, it kind of looks like something that a hunter would wear maybe during the apocalypse. Maybe I'll play that up with a coon cap. But you know, this was a rather expensive purchase, so I'm not going to be beating it up with a shredder tool or putting paint on it. But if the weather gets miserable, this is my I'm not fucking around coat. Like I'm gonna stay warm and dry and not be a miserable prick when I'm out there trying to be an admin. And then obviously this is something. I should probably give this away because I'm probably never gonna wear it. Just a cheap fishing vest that I painted the Omega symbol on. Nothing crazy, but again, this is more like a summertime thing. The nice thing about this too is you got pockets. So if you want to throw mags or Skittles in there, resources, BBs, whatever. There's got a lot of pockets that you can use. But I'll probably bring this to Desolation and give it to someone that wants something that has an Omega symbol on it. Because it's a little too small for him. Not going to wear it. Spare batteries. Obviously, we talked about radio batteries. We talked about flashlight batteries. Buy a flashlight that takes something like AA's. Don't buy a flashlight that takes CR123s that you can't get easily on your way to the event. Just AA batteries. Make life easier for yourself. If you run an AEG, you need to have extra AEG batteries. If you run an HPA, maybe an extra FCU battery. I mean, those things last forever. Really, I mean, you should probably only have the AEG battery as a backup in case of complete failure of your primary AEG battery. At Beta, it was a 24-hour game. We had about 45 participants. I did some quick math at the end of the event, counting up, the resources, the BBs that I put in little baggies, and the BBs and the baggies that we received back at the end of the event. And on average, each participant shot about 125 BBs total over the course of 24 hours. So you're not going to run out an AEG battery, or if you're running an HPA gun, you're not going to run out an FCU battery with 125 BBs. I probably could have made it through the event with one CO2 cartridge in the Wraith stock. Typically, I run the Redline air stock, which you'll get up to anywhere from 800 to 1,000 shots per 13 cubic inch tank. That would be, I probably wouldn't even bother carrying an extra one with me, just because I highly doubt anyone's going to be shooting 800 BBs during one of our events. Obviously, Desolation is going to be up to a 48-hour game, depending on when you start. If you decide to start, with the first group on Friday, you'll be in the gameplay area for 48 hours. Obviously, if you just decide to start on Saturday, you'll probably be in there for a little around 24 hours, but I highly doubt anyone's going to be shooting anywhere close to the number of BBs that would be required to burn out even a 1200 milliamp hour battery. Because typically the conversion is you take milliamp hours, number of milliamp hours equals the number of BBs you can shoot roughly with that battery. So if you have 1200 milliamp hours, you're getting 1200 BBs. You're just probably not going to be shooting that much, which is good. At least I think it's good. I think a lot of people shot very little, accomplished quite a bit in 24 hours, and I think a lot of people were really impressed with themselves on how much they were able to do when they were forced to be resourceful with their BB. So, I think it's going to be interesting. Frank may have a different opinion, but I think when people come to our events and play and have to survive with a limited amount of resources, especially BBs, they'll develop a skill set that will translate very well to other styles of games. So if you're going to an AMS game or a Milsim West game, I think you'll be a little bit lighter on the trigger, which will help you at those events. So we'll see. I mean, obviously it's too soon to tell, but we'll see. Water, 2-liter water storage. So one thing that came out of beta, we should probably dedicate an entire video to this, but the long story short is that we made the water resource a rule. So we basically made the rule around water. It's going to change on an event-to-event basis. So for the war zone, it wasn't really too hot. It was a little bit warm Saturday afternoon. And there's also no fresh water supply at the war zone. So we allowed people to start the event with as much water on them as they wanted to take in. All right. So some people started with none. Some people started with 2 gallons of water. It was dependent on the person. For going forward, we're gonna make that rule specific to the event site. So obviously with Desolation, heat is not going to be a factor. Additionally, there are 2 freshwater streams that are going to run through the gameplay area, so people can get water, boil it, and then they'll have clean drinking water. So for Desolation, we're only going to allow people to start the game with 36 ounces of water, which is it's about a liter, which is equals to about two water bottles. So that's what you can start with, and then we'll provide additional water resources throughout the event. And then obviously, because of the streams being there, people can get their own water. Obviously, if it was an event in the summer in the desert, we'd have different water rules. But going forward, everyone still is required to have at least 2 liters of water storage going into the event. So you got to have something on you that can hold at least 2 liters of water. If you want to bring, a canteen like this, that's fine. If you want to bring a bladder, that's fine. If you want to bring a used 2-liter bottle that used to have Dr. Pepper in it, that's also fine. Do more with less, Save money where you can, as Frank has said numerous times, and as I'll repeat, the badasses at our events are going to be the people who have the cheapest, shittiest gear and get through the 48 hours, not the people that come with thousands of dollars of gear and think that they're tough for, sleeping in a $1,000 tent when it's 55 degrees out. So do with that what you will. In terms of some miscellaneous items you might want to bring with you, tape, electrical tape, that'll do you. It has a lot of different purposes, repairs, you can maybe seal them with this in a pinch, but whatever kind of tape you bring, you can bring duct tape a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more cumbersome, but tape is just a recommendation. And then we also 550 cord. So obviously tons of uses for this. You can make an impromptu sling with it. You can use, obviously the primary purpose is probably going to be used something like stringing up a tarp. So 550 cord, very, very good thing to have. Let's see what Rob, I wrapped my tape around a Bic lighter to save weight. Highly recommend. Rob was one of the more hardcore individuals at Beta. If we gave out merit badges for doing more with less, I think Rob would have earned one for Beta. He slept on, I don't know what you call them, maybe Rob, you can put in the comments, but it was like one of those blankets that you use to throw over dressers when you put it in a moving truck so that the dresser doesn't get dinged up. So I call it moving blanket. He had a moving blanket that he slept on, and then he propped it up. He propped a tarp up on a stick and just slept in that and survived the night, even though it rained, pretty heavily at some points. Moving blanket. There we go. Moving blanket. Yeah. So Rob is a very good example of the do more with less mantra. All right. So rucksack. You don't have to have a rucksack. You can bring a fucking 55-gallon garbage bag for all I care to bring your stuff in, but you're gonna want something to put your food in. You're gonna want something to put your sleep system in, whether that's a tent or if you're like Rob, a tarp and a moving blanket. But you can buy an expensive rucksack from something like Tactical Tailor. Obviously, we don't recommend that because it's expensive and you want to do more with less. So this is what I have. It is a $10 surplus just military bag. I mean, I got this for $10 maybe 10 years ago. It has my address from when my parents lived just south of Buffalo. We haven't lived there in 10 years, so that's a little interesting. It has my phone number on there, which is actually still my phone number. So this holds a lot of stuff. Very cheap, very affordable. You can beat the hell out of it. It's not going to really get too much, get too heavily damaged. And if it does, it was $10, so you really can't get too mad. All right, so what are we going to put in the rucksack? A couple things. Sleeping bag. These can be, if you don't own a sleeping bag, that's kind of odd. Most people should own a sleeping bag, I would think. But if you don't, or maybe the one you have is just really big and bulky and you want to upgrade, sleeping bags can be had on Amazon very affordably. This one had like 3,000 reviews. It was like 4.5, 4.6 stars. And I think it was in like the $35, $40 range. So I picked this up, and it comes with a stuff sack. I didn't really do a great job rolling up because I was kind of in a hurry, but gets the job done. This one is good to, it says 35 to 40 degrees, so it might get down that cold at Desolation, but there's other things you can do to add to warm that up, so to speak. Sleeping pad, if you want to bring one. This is a Thermarest. Again, these can be purchased on Amazon very inexpensively. This one rolls up. They also have the zigzag ones. What I'll probably do to this one, just to cut down on size even more, is cut it down just so my head down to my hamstrings is on it, because really, I sleep on my back. I don't need my knees down to have Thermarest support, so I'll probably just cut that down, and then it'll have a smaller profile in my rucksack. Pillow, you can buy a camping pillow. They stuff down very easily. They're hypoallergenic, whatever. I don't typically bring one just because it takes up more space. You can take something like the Shemagh that you're packing, and you kind of roll that up, put your head on it. It's very soft. You can take some of the extra clothes that you're going to pack, and maybe take your bag of clothes, put this on top of it, sleep on that. Do more with less. Don't pack any more than you have to, because you're going to be carrying it around. Bivy sack or a tent. Tent's over there. I didn't grab it out. I don't have a bivy sack. You don't need to have either or. Like, going back to Rob's example, he had a moving blanket and a tarp, and he slept on that. I think he had a sleeping bag. If you want to bring a tent, something that you can do. A tent will certainly fit in my bag. Where'd it go? I'm losing stuff left and right. Oh, here it is. A tent will certainly fit in this with a sleeping bag and with a Thermarest, so it's something that you can certainly bring. For Desolation, The terrain's going to be pretty rocky, so you probably don't want to bring a tent with too big of a footprint. But a tent will be nice to have, or a bivy sack, something that will contain some of the heat. It will be nice to have if the temperature does get a little bit lower. But again, not something that you have to bring with you. I have on here a 10 by 10 tarp. You can go to a Home Depot and buy a cheap blue tarp for a couple bucks. I bought this one on Amazon, Chill Gorilla. Very affordable. The nice thing about this, I mean, it's a tarp obviously, but it comes with loops on the ends and the corners, so it just makes it a little bit easier to string up between trees, or maybe do something like a lean-to, because you already have those points attached. So it's nice. Makes setup a little bit easier. Bushcraft tools. So we have a couple examples here: knife, axe, entrenching tool, saw. Most people probably get by fine with something like this. A pocket knife. If you want to bring something like a more significant fixed blade knife for things like batoning, or maybe shaving wood to start a fire. Something you can totally do if you want to bring an axe to chop up fallen wood or dead standing wood. Something that you can certainly do as well. Saw would be nice for that. Different locations are going to have different rules in terms of what we can do for fires and how we can harvest wood. For desolation, the fires have to be in a pit that's raised 6 inches off the ground, and the owners don't want us cutting down any trees that are alive. So if you see a tree that's growing leaves, don't go hack it down. You can only cut up dead standing wood. So trees that or branches that have fallen on the ground, they're dead, clean that up. You can use that for firewood, or you can use it for defense fortifications, or you can use it for your shelter, whatever you want to do. Just for desolation, don't cut apart anything that's alive. Obviously, when you're using these tools, there's a certain degree of responsibility. We shouldn't ever see you using one of these tools for something that's not their intended purpose. So if this is in a sheath and I'm carrying it around with me, whatever, I'm not going to go up to someone and try to melee kill them or do whatever. Instant, you're gone from the event. You're never coming back. If we're allowing people to use these tools to add to the immersion of the event, do not be that person that uses a knife or an axe or a saw or an entrenching tool in a stupid or irresponsible manner, because you will be gone. So you can bring these. Obviously, if be careful with them. If you're chopping wood, you obviously be mindful of fingers. If you're cutting things, make sure you're cutting away from your body and not towards any limbs. You don't want to slice a femoral artery open and bleed out on a paintball field. That's kind of nerdy. So if you want to bring these things, you can certainly bring them. You don't have to. There's going to be a lot of people there that know what they're doing that can bring these. So don't feel like if you don't bring a giant 8-inch blade to baton wood that you're not going to be cool. Just save the pounds and help other people or learn from other people that know how to do it, and then maybe the next event you can do it yourself. So there's a big learning component to these events. A lot of people are going to have strengths in certain areas, so learn from them. Okay, spare clothing. Again, this is kind of like beating a dead horse, but you don't want to be the person that's miserable at one of these events because you forgot to pack extra clothes. I mean, going through the list again, extra shirts, wool socks, underwear, stay away from cotton. All these things, stay away from cotton. Don't be doing too much cotton. Extra pair of pants just in case the ones that you bring get really muddy and nasty. Maybe you fall down into like a mud puddle and desolation. You could probably wash them off in the stream, but they're not going to dry right away, right? So you gotta have something to put on your getaway sticks while your primary pair of pants dries. And then obviously for desolation, I put this on the list you see now. Cold weather gear, hat, one that goes over your ears. It'll be very nice at night to have one of those. Gloves, something that's actually going to keep your fingers warm. We're going for warmth here when we're talking about things in the rucksack, because it's probably going to be more for sleeping. Something like a whoopee or a poncho liner that can definitely add to the warmth of your sleeping bag or sleep system if you can wrap yourself up in something like a poncho liner or a whoopee. And then one big thing I would highly recommend for sleeping is thick wool socks. So these are smart wool. In my opinion, smart wool is by far the best wool sock brand out there. You're obviously going to pay for that. Typically, these types of socks go for around $20 to $24 per pair. Not cheap, but if you live in an area with a TJ Maxx or Marshalls, this time of year you can go and, if you dig through the socks, oftentimes they'll have Patagonia and Smart Wool socks that are like half price. So I think I got these for maybe like $10 or $12 at a Marshalls several years ago. That's the other nice thing about these. These are extremely hard wearing. I've never thrown out a pair of Smart Wool socks. They've never gotten to the point where they've worn out and I can't wear them. So highly recommend Smart Wool making that investment. And obviously not for things, I mean, you don't have to use them just for airsoft. I wear these exclusively in the winter, and whenever I do anything outdoors, even in the summer months, I still wear the thinner merino wool socks. All right, food. So food is another thing that came out of beta. We had some adjustments to how we handle food. I haven't drank my beer yet. Okay, so the big rule with food is that all food that you bring into the gameplay area needs to fit in a 1 gallon bag. All right, we're not going to provide the 1 gallon bag for you. We're not going to make everyone pull out the Ziploc branded 1 gallon bag and show us their food. But if you're going through your stuff and we see that you have like 10 Mountain Houses, 5 canned goods, a whole pack of ramen, it's gonna be a problem. So all your food needs to fit in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag. Buy a 1 gallon Ziploc bag from any grocery store. Cram your food in there. Obviously these are very thin. These Mountain Houses. So you can fit a couple of these up inside a 1 gallon bag to last you the 48 hours. Mountain Houses are all right. They taste good, but they're just super salty, and they just give me super bad, like dry mouth, cotton mouth after I eat them. It was so bad at beta after eating one of these, I didn't even want to smoke a cigar because my mouth was just devastated by these Mountain Houses. So maybe I'll bring 1 or 2 just to eat, in a quick pinch. But you might want something with a little bit more flavor. I don't know how to put it. Ramen noodles, obviously, ramen noodles aren't going to take you down that flavor train path, but extremely cheap. They have a fucking ridiculous shelf life, I think. I'm trying to find the. Maybe they don't. I could be just making that up. I'm trying to find the Best By date. I don't see one. It's probably on the box that I bought them in, but they last a long time. Very cheap, very easy to make. So you have some options there. Obviously, canned goods are an option. You could, if your mom wants to bake brownies and send you to the event with a bag of brownies, you can do that too. We're not gonna restrict you. The big thing coming out of the 1 gallon bag rule is that too many people brought too much food to the point that it kind of nerfed having to find food as a resource and really introducing that kind of that fear factor, so to speak. So the 1 gallon bag will still make people think about what they're packing, but if in-game admins or other people want to trade food, it's still something that's appealing. But at beta, everyone had so much food that like trading food wasn't really a thing. Everyone, had enough food to survive fucking 10 days out of the war zone. So it's our way for now of trying to reintroduce food as an important resource that you at least need to think about obtaining throughout the duration of the game. All right, almost at the end of the list. We're almost there. Meal prep, so stove kit. Obviously, if you're hanging out by the fire, you can just use that as a heat kit. The hot water heater's coming down. Hopefully it doesn't drown me out. But MSR, pocket rocket, right? The fuel, the little device, it all fits nicely in here. I can boil water in this. There's a cup to measure water for the Mountain Houses. Very good system. A little bit pricey though. I think this was around $80 at an REI. So, convenient for sure. Very small form factor, but definitely not going to be the most viable option for those who are price sensitive. But like I said, Well, I don't think I actually said this, but every community at Desolation will have at least one fire pit, and someone, someone always has a fire pit going. Oh, great. Okay, so you can still hear me. That's good. So again, something to think about, but totally not necessary. If you want to just bring like a piece of metal that holds liquid, you can put that on the fire and use that to cook food. And we had a lot of people at Beta get very creative with how they were cooking food, and that was definitely good to see. I was very lazy, and I just threw money at my problem and went and spent $80 on the MSR pocket rocket. So again, different strokes for different folks. Probably as I get more familiar and more comfortable with our events, I'll probably set aside the pocket rocket and try to do more things actually using the fire, like maybe bringing like portable grill sets, putting them over the fire. We can cook things like hot dogs, hamburger, maybe things like that, like good food that communities can find during the event, come back to their community and say, hey, we found a 48 pack of Salem's hot dogs, let's throw them on the fire, throw them on the grill over the fire, and enjoy those. So those are things like that Frank and I are trying to introduce into the events. We can't obviously do everything at once. We gotta grow slowly over time, which I know is frustrating me and Frank, that we can't do everything we want all at once, but we'll get there. Desolation will have a lot of improvements over Beta, and as we look towards 2019, we'll have we'll be doing a lot of really cool things at some very large venues, and we'll also be doing some really cool things with some of the smaller local fields, probably more in the northeast area. Utensils. Oh, where's my utensil? I got a sweet ass spork. Shout out to Justin Lyman for hooking me up with this K-bar spork. This is what I use for Beta, and as long as I don't use it, I'm going to use it for every event going forward, because this thing is just super cool. Fire starting kit. A lighter. If you bring a lighter, pretty easy to do. If you want to be a super cool guy, you can get a ferro rod, and you can do the thing where you shoot sparks at, a pile of kindling, and that will definitely work for a lot of people. And I imagine a lot of people will bring something like that, because a ferro rod obviously doesn't run out of fuel like a lighter does. But a lot of people smoke, cigarettes, cigars, including myself. So I will always have a lighter on me for these events. So just some personal items, things to think about. And these are just some suggestions. Each person will be different. For the personal items, toiletries, toothbrush, toothpaste. You don't, just because it's the apocalypse, you don't want to have shitty breath. Bug spray and sunscreen. That'll be important for different areas. Bug spray and sunscreen, probably not terribly important for Desolation, because in terms of the sun, we're going to be under the canopy. Skirmish is in very thick woods, completely covered by trees, so we're going to be under the canopy for pretty much all the areas are under the canopy except for the village area, but even then you're probably going to be in the shade the vast majority of the event. So maybe pack it, consider it, but probably not terribly necessary unless you're a day walker or a ginger and you get sunburnt underneath an incandescent bulb. And then bug spray, again, not terribly relevant because it's going to be the end of October, or there shouldn't really be any bugs out at the event. But other events, for doing events in the Northeast, like maybe up in Maine, New York State, in June, July, August, it'll get very damp, very humid, so you'll want to have those things packed and kind of set aside in case you need them. Probably not in sizes like this because it's pretty big, but you can get travel sizes. Towels, washcloth. My buddy Rich, when he came to Beta, actually brought these and left them in my car. So Rich, I see you watching. I still have your bath wipes. Very good idea packing these. Now I have them, so I have to give them back to you at Desolation. But definitely something worth packing, so you can rinse wipe your hands off if they get dirty. If you have to go number 2 in one of the outhouses, this is a nice kind of follow-up to toilet paper. A lot of different applications for that. Just cleaning your face, kind of cleaning under your armpits, cleaning your undercarriage, just making sure you don't smell like a complete bum at the end of the event. Personal medication, pain relievers. Obviously, if you're a diabetic or someone that needs to take medication for whatever, that's your responsibility to bring with you and take at the appropriate time. Pain relievers. I had a pretty bad headache on Sunday. of beta, and I don't know if that was from eating, super salty Mountain House or just getting a shitty night's sleep in the freezing trailer that Frank and I both slept in, but I had a headache. I wish I had Advil. I didn't have Advil. I had to wait till after the event to go and get Advil and take it, and once I took it, I felt much better. So going forward, I'm going to have things like Advil in my rucksack or in my assault pack, not only for myself, but in case anyone else is just not feeling well, like here, pop a couple Tylenol or Advil, and you'll be good to go in about half an hour. Med kit, again, you can go pretty hardcore with this, or you can go very basic if you're someone that wants to have a quick clot and those compression bandages and things like that in case of really bad situations. You're totally welcome to bring that stuff. We have that stuff in the command center, at the different events. So we have it, but if you're right there and someone's bleeding, and you need to address the situation, it's great if you have that stuff on you. Most people, though, I'd recommend something like an antiseptic like Neosporin. This one has pain relief, so if you get a really harsh boo-boo, this will relieve some of your pain. Band-aids, maybe you can use some of that tape that I had earlier to maybe secure the band-aids so it doesn't fly off, if you're running around getting too hot and heavy. But just basic band-aid stuff. I mean, you get blisters, you want to take care of that so you're not walking around and being miserable for the rest of the event. Miscellaneous stuff, repair kit, tool bag or whatever. Obviously, the repair kit that you have is going to depend on the stuff that you have. Frank, most of the in-game admins for beta and most of the in-game admins for Desolation are individuals who run the Redline N7 Milsim. So we don't have a lot of. I shouldn't say we don't have a lot of problems. Personally, I haven't had any problems with my Redline, but maybe other people have different experiences. But let's assume that we have the same amount of problems, but we have different problems. So we have to have different tools to address those problems. So for like myself with the Redline, I may pack an O-ring kit. I may pack my container of gun salve to relube O-rings. I may pack screwdriver, Allen key set to adjust pressure, or take apart the gun. I would basically pack tools in a baggie. I would figure out all the tools I would need to take the N7 down to literally its most basic parts. If I had to replace O-rings, that's all I would bring. I wouldn't go too crazy with that. I've never had an N7 break on me in the middle of the game, so maybe that's spoiled me, and maybe I'm due to get my comeuppance at some point with the Redline. But I mean, going to games now, I used to bring an entire toolbox. Now I bring like a tiny Ziploc bag of like Allen keys and screws and O-rings and some lube. So I don't go too crazy with that. A multi-tool is always great to have for a variety of different functions. This is a Leatherman, I believe. It's got obviously the pliers on there. It's got a little saw in case you want to saw some little twigs, but good thing to have on you. Most people have one. They've received one of these for free at some point in their life for something that they did. So I have a bunch of these, and I keep them in my car. I keep them for airsoft. I keep them for a bunch of different uses. All right, last couple items. Trash bags. Bring trash bags. Throw away your shit. We'll have trash bags in all the communities, but sometimes the trash bags fill up, and maybe we don't come around for a while to take away the full trash bag and put a new one up. If you have a trash bag on you, you can be the cool person that hangs up the new trash bag, and people can throw their shit into the new trash bag and not make a mess of the gameplay area. We want to be known as the event company that leaves every AO cleaner than they found it. So obviously a big part of that is the participants in these events making sure that their community areas are clean and tidy when they leave Sunday afternoon. And obviously it's going to be much easier to clean up and tidy up that community area Sunday afternoon when it's just something that's been kind of kept on top of throughout the event. So if you could bring trash bags, bring one too. Be a huge help to Frank and myself and the other individuals who are cleaning up Sunday afternoon. All right, the last thing I added on here, it's not on the pack list typed. I kind of wrote it on here for myself, are trade items. So I updated the rule set. I updated the full rule set. I don't think it's reflected in the abridged version of the rule set. But what Frank and I would like to do going forward is encourage people to come to the event and almost, it's hard to describe. Almost run their own side missions. So one of my buddies from Long Island, John, he's going to be coming to Desolation, and he will be fulfilling the role of a trader. He will be one of them, walking around the area, trading resources like bandages, BBs, other things for bullet casings. And one of the things that he's also going to be doing is, kind of running some very small side missions for people to do. So I think, I don't want to, spoil his idea, but essentially they're going to be missions where you're going to have to go out into the AO, into a specific area, find or steal an item and return that item to him in order to earn a reward. But he's going to be, he's not going to tell you exactly where it is. He's not going to be like, oh, here's the map, go exactly to this place, find this, 15-gallon barrel in the corner of this building and then bring it back to me. It's going to be a little bit more unique than that. And again, I don't want to get into the details of what he's planning because, what he told me could very well change by the time Desolation comes around. But, he's doing that as a trader. He's going to be one of the role players that we have. But we also want individuals and participants to start doing things like that themselves. So if you have something that you think would be cool to trade, a unique item that you want to bring and trade, with other people, maybe you want to trade bullet casings, BBs, whatever, we certainly want you to do that. Additionally, if you, have some stuff laying around your house and you think, wow, it'd be really cool to bring this out with me to Desolation or maybe, another event, and maybe I want to use Frank's example, like I have these 5 golden skulls, I'm going to bring them out into the gameplay area, I'm going to bury them, around the field, and then I'm going to tell people, I'm going to give people hints as to where they are, and they have to go find these golden skulls, dig them up, bring them back to me, and maybe, maybe one of the 5, every time whenever someone brings back a skull, maybe 4 of them are worth, like a couple bags of BBs, but maybe like one that has a special symbol on the bottom is worth, bags of BBs, bullet casings, medic bandages, a bunch of shit. But going back to the previous example of trading some items, so if you were at beta, that I was kind of the trader role in addition to being the admin, and I brought cigars to trade to people. These are I smoke a lot of cigars, and I tell people now that I'm so well known for smoking cigars that people will just give me cigars all the time. So I smoke a lot of cigars, but I literally can't keep up with the number of cigars that people give me. So I don't think I've bought cigars in a couple of years. I literally just get people go to events and bring me back like bags of cigars, like this one right here that has matches in it. So this is an insurance event, golf outing, I guess. So I have a bunch of these that I'll probably never smoke. So I'm going to bring them to the event and trade them to people. Maybe I'll say, hey, if you want a Stogue, throw me 3 bullet casings, or maybe a couple bags of BBs for a Stogue. So these are things that are obviously not provided. I mean, obviously I'm the owner with Frank, but anyone can do something like this, bring resources they think others would find valuable, and trade, these non-regulated items for event-regulated items like BBs, like medic bandages, like bullet casings, things like that. So I'll be doing cigars again. A lot of people enjoyed them. I actually sold out of them in like the first 3 hours of the event. So I'll be bringing some more cigars to trade with people. Another thing that I thought would be very smart to bring and trade with people are hand warmers. So I have for whatever reason, I have a shit ton of hand warmers and toe warmers in my basement. They've been sitting down here for at least a year. I'm going to bring them to Desolation, and I'm going to trade these with people as well. So I think these will command quite a high price, because if it gets cold, people, if they're snuggling up at night, or maybe their hands get cold, their toes get cold, they'll be giving up the keys of the kingdom to get some of these hand warmers. So obviously, if you're watching this video, probably a good idea to go out and buy some hand warmers and have them on you for Desolation in case it gets cold. If you're not watching this video, then I'm probably going to be trading these to you, but they're going to be a very high price, because I think the economics, the supply and demand of hand warmers if it's cold outside will be heavily in my favor. So that's the end of the list. How long did I go for? Holy shit, over an hour. I thought this was going to be around a half-hour video. I droned on quite a bit. So thank you guys for watching. As always, if you're watching this video, you probably have already liked and followed the Facebook page. You know, jump over to our Instagram account, show that some love. We're actually doing a giveaway right now where if you find the appropriate post on our page, but essentially you have to like the picture, like our Instagram account, and then you got to tag someone who you would want to try and survive the apocalypse with. We're going to pick a winner we're going to close the contest on Saturday, pick a winner on Sunday, and we're going to give that individual 2 tickets for free to come to Desolation. And obviously, hopefully they're bringing that person that they tagged in the post if they're available. So go over there, do that. And like I said, we're going to try to start putting these Facebook Live videos on YouTube. So if you missed the live video, you can go onto YouTube, download it, and then watch it, you know, when you're doing, you know, some type of mundane task, like maybe you're on a long car ride. If you're like me, I have to take the train into work every day, so I'm on the train for an hour plus each way, or, you know, whatever you want to do. So, yeah, tickets are still on sale for Desolation, Skirmish Paintball, October 26th through 28th. Get your tickets. It's going to be a great event. Until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.